Hello everyone, welcome to I think this is 6 now, right, of the series, and sorry if I seem a little tired. It's, as you can see, 10:36, it's getting near my bedtime, but I thought I'd go ahead and make this anyway, so forgive me for that. Today we're going to actually go over a problem, or an exercise, and I found this online. I thought it'd be fun and helpful to do. It's this one right here. We'll get back to that in a second. I just want to go over something real quick. Um, but in order to do this problem, we need to know one more thing that we don't already know. So let's say we have an integer a, and that's going to equal 3. Remember the if-else statements? So if we do if x is greater than 2, this part's new right here, the greater than. So what it's saying is if x is greater than 2, run this. So it's going to see out x greater than 2. Else. So it's very similar. Oops. Very similar to, just any other statement. Just with the greater than. If we want a greater than or equal to, we can do this. So this would be valid. So a is greater than or equal to 3 because it is equal to 3. So it will run this. Cout stuff. Whoops, put that in quotes. Stuff. I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I'll show you that it does indeed work. Though this isn't valid. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean x. A. Already off to a good start. And why did that take so long? X is greater than 2. Yeah, okay. So ran this one because a is greater than or equal to 3. Alright, that's what you need to know for this problem here. Now the problem itself isn't too hard. I'll go ahead and link this in the description if you want to take a closer look at it. But I thought we'd start here, and then as we get more and more skills build up, we can, keep going. But for now, we're going to do this one. So it says write a program that allows a user to enter the grade scored in programming class 0 to 100. If the user scored 100, then notify the user that they got a perfect score. So we're going to start here, and this is like a bonus part, so we can do that later and finish with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have half of this there, and then the other half here. That way we can look at both. So first we need to think what kind of data type do we need to store the score. So it's a number, and it appears to be a whole number, right? There are no decimal points. It's either 99, 100, 98, etc. to 0. So I will use an int and name it score. Now comment holds the score. So we know what it does. This comment kind of reminds us what it does. If you can't really see it, it's in light gray. I really need to change that, the color, but anyway. Okay, so it says we need to ask and allow the user to enter. So we can see out what score did you receive. So it's going to ask them, wow, I can't type. It's going to ask them, hey, what score did you receive? Then we'll have them enter into the variable score. And just to test this, we'll go ahead and see out it. Just to make sure it works, we'll go ahead and test it what we got so far. That ran or built quickly. What score did you receive? Let's put an 85. And there you go, we can see this part works so far. So we have this, and then the last part says if the user scored 100, notify the user they got a perfect score. So we'd use an if statement, right? So if score is equal to 100, Notice how we used equal equal, not just one equal, because we're not setting score equal to 100, we're comparing it. So we put the brackets, and anything in these brackets gets ran. So cout, we have to inform them you got a perfect score. Yay. Good job. So, go ahead and test that out. Put 100. It says you got a perfect score. And there you go. We made our first little program. So the greater than or equal is going to come into play with the first bonus problem here. It says modify the program so if the user scored a 90 to 100, it informs the user they scored an A. Now I'm assuming 100's not included in this because 100 is already being notified with you got a perfect score. So I'm saying from 99 to 90 is an A. I would assume that's what they want us to say. So we'll do an else if score is greater than or equal to 90. Now why did I do this? Well, if score was equal to 100, it would do this and then ignore all the else if statements, or if there was an else statement, it would ignore that too. So since it didn't ignore it, there's a chance that score is greater than or equal to 90, but not 100. Therefore, it'll say you got an A. I'll make that capital A. Okay, so since it didn't run this, that means it's not 100. So if it's not 100, it'll go to this, and we'll say, oh, but it's greater than or equal to 90, then we'll run this. And what you'll see for the rest, when we modify the program again, we can just kind of copy and paste it and modify it slightly. So let's go ahead and run this. Make sure this part works. So let's say we didn't get a full 100, we didn't get a perfect score. Let's say we got a 95. And now you see you got an A. And let's run it one more time, but we'll use the very last acceptable value, which is 90, just to make sure that 90 also works. And it does. You got an A. Okay? So, if we look at the last part of this grading program here, it gives you the different grades. So what we can do for the B, we'll just copy this. But we're not going to use 90. 90 is included here, and this is B. And if we look, a B goes from 80 to 89. So what we can do is greater than or equal to 80, right? Because if it were 90, it would have been included here, but since it's not, 89 to 80 can possibly be the value. And we'll just go ahead and do that with the rest. So C is 70 to 79. And we'll change this to C. D is 60 to 69, so we'll do 60. And, whoops, change this to D. And then lastly, we'll have an else. This is, if none of these values worked, if they compared each one and it didn't match any of these, therefore, you had to have failed, which is not looking good. You probably got to retake the class, I'm assuming. So you got an F. And we'll put a little frown, because no one's happy about that. And yeah. So if they didn't get a D, they didn't get a C, they didn't get a B, they didn't get an A, then else they had to have gotten an F. So go ahead and test this. Make sure each value works. What score did you receive? Let's give it a 65. So let's think real quick. What would a 65 be without hitting enter yet? We can just go through it with our mind, kind of. So it's greater than or equal to 60, so this is a possibility. It's not greater than or equal to 70, So it has to be this one. So it's going to be a D. And as you see, that is the case. Let's run it again. Let's do 45. What is that going to be? Well, it doesn't fit this last criteria, so it's got to be else. You got an F. Pretty cool. So if you'd like, if you're following along, you know, maybe pause this video and try to write it on your own, by memory, kind of. I always try to do that, and that really seems to help. Yeah, or if you have trouble, you know, pull the video back up, see what I was doing, and maybe pause it, close it, and go from there and try to remember. Really, practice does make perfect, honestly. Of course, when I first started, something like this would probably be pretty hard. But now that I look at it, I'm like, wow, you know, super, super simple. Yeah, I would like you to try it. That'd be pretty cool. And also, do your own little tests. You know, make sure 60 works with D, which it does. Put your own little grades in, make sure it works as you expect it to. And if something doesn't work as you expect it, see why it's doing that. That's always a good way to learn as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Cool little exercise that you can actually, you know, put your knowledge to work. But once we know more, we'll do this cola machine one. We need to know... Huh. It looks like we should know all of these, actually. It's the same exact requirements. So maybe some other video, we'll go ahead and we'll do the cola machine at a different time. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate ya, and I'll see you next time.